when I'm up.
All right, sure will.
All right. We are going live.
Darren Holbert.
Holbert.
Oh, shoot. I did forgot the R when I wrote it.
We are live. Hey there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think we're live. Does it say we're live? It says we're live. All right.
We are.
Here we go. So, here we go. Imagine if someone came to you and handed you a single page out of the Bible and told you that this one page represents all of Christianity. Imagine if someone took a single 60-second clip of Frodo from Lord of the Rings standing at the crack of doom and told you that Frodo is an evil, evil guy. With this last weekend's events at the Lincoln Memorial in D.C. between Covington Catholic High School students and the elderly Vietnam veteran Native American elder, perhaps there is a whole other team that nobody seems to be mentioning. Stay tuned.
You're listening to the Unframe of Mind Show, the place to have the most mind-stretching, unprotected, intellectual intercourse of your life. Your host, Daniel Wagner, battles the forces of evil by lobbing fiery balls of truth, reason, and evidence over safe room walls.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Unframe of Mind Show, where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom. I'm your host, Daniel Wagner.
And I'm Anthony Treywick.
All right. And tonight, we are going to have another special guest with us by the name of Dr. Darren Holbert. He's joining us live via Skype, and he's going to hang out with us.
Coming in from California.
Yeah.
On the West Coast.
They can see you, man. Don't say anything dumb, incriminating. I mean, you can say stupid things, but, you know, that's it. That's the limit. All right.
Well, good. Yeah, my name's Darren Holbert, and I'm glad to be here and enjoy your guys' show. So
all right. Well, it's glad to have you. We always enjoy having guests. That's why at the end of every show we say, hey, listen, if you want to be a guest on the show, come talk to us. We'll be glad to have you. Anyway, before we get started, do you mind giving the audience a brief introduction about you? Just kind of give the elevator pitch of who you are, what you do.
Sure. Hey, well, I'm an evangelipreneur. So as you're thinking about what that means,
okay.
So what I do is I have two conglomerates that I run. One is called Advancing God's Kingdom, and that's a charity. And our motto is winning souls. So that is, we just help people figure out how their soul works and help them run their own soul so that they're winning all the time, as much as possible. And then secondly, once they get their soul straight, then it's about equipping entrepreneurs. And we do that with our second for-profit corporation called Kingdom Investor Group. And so we have those websites, and we'll get those to you guys, advancinggodskingdom.org and kingdominvestorgroup.com. And so we'd love to have you go check those out. In fact, we have some free sign-ups on there and some promotional pieces that you guys could see as well.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
I've actually,
thanks for having me.
I did get one of those links in the low bar, and also a link to your Twitter feed in the description is currently there. So if anybody wants to check you out while we're, do a background check on you and whatnot while we're in the middle of talking today, that would be just fine. At any rate, so there was a big one thing I want to start with before we dig into the big topic of tonight is you and I had spoke on the phone previously, just kind of getting a general feel for each other here, and we started kind of mentioning crypto, and it's been a little while on the show since I've mentioned anything about cryptocurrencies, and I think it would be a good idea just to remind the audience that yes, Bitcoin's not dead. It's still out there. You can still use it as, an investment tool or investment strategy if you so choose. And there's still a whole world of developers out there creating cool shit out there. But I just wanted to get just kind of have a conversation with you about what do you think about it? Like what do you see coming down the pike? What's, just from your investment strategy kind of angle or, whatever angle you feel like.
Well, just as far as an investment piece, it's really kind of your super high risk investment, meaning you can put money in there and it may not work or it might work, but I believe that down the road,
kind of like marrying a single mom, right? Sorry.
Well, however that goes, but that whole idea of just being way ahead of the curve, that's where the crypto is, because on a global scale, we've got countries all over the world, and we've got people who don't have access to banking systems.
Right.
You need to create an economy for them. And the big piece of the economy is having currency, right? It's having something they could trade. So
Yeah, I hear a lot
Elon
of people.
Musk, as you guys know, is working on a international or just basically a big world wide web that'll be high access but cheap. So I want to work with him on that and some other projects that they've got going on, because once we can get that out there and we have Bill Gates step in and all the computer guys step in and drop down some smartphones or some pads, we can really educate our whole world really fast.
Not the social links.
So that's what I see happening down the road.
Did you send out the social links? No, that's actually sounds really cool. There's a lot of neat projects going on out there. I used to have a small segment on the live show where we just did a crypto innovation of the week. There was just so many different projects coming out and so much many press releases about different strategies people are taking, different types of problems people are trying to solve, and things like that. And I mean, like right now, like you were talking about, banking the unbanked is a huge deal. I mean, there's like, say in Venezuela, for example, I've got a friend that works on a team with me at airwire.io, where he lives in Venezuela. He's dealing with the hyperinflation of the currency right now, and he's out there putting on seminars and everything else and spreading the word about crypto, and people are like, they get it there, because for them, it's not like us, where our currency is kind of, relatively stable. It's losing value year over year, but it's not so, it doesn't put you in a panic. But, when you're in a country like Venezuela, like, you can definitely see the benefit of something like this. So they're really, really pushing for it down there.
Right. Well, and, and we, just as you mentioned currency, and you think about the U.S. currency,
Mm-hmm.
if we could gather all the dollars that are printed everywhere in the world, there's maybe 3 to 7 million or trillion, dollars. But what is our national debt right now?
It's definitely not 3 or 7 trillion.
Yeah, that's true.
So guess what? We're not using crypto. We're not using any currency.
No,
right?
not
It's
at all.
all just on paper. And that's really the heart of what cryptocurrency is. Except they're going to do this Bitcoin, or they're going to have some kind of little token. But that's really immaterial. I think where it's eventually going to go is just going to be all computerized.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's got to be something the fact that it's immutable, the fact that it's you can't hack it, the fact that people can trade it and know that, if I get a Bitcoin from somebody, I know it's legit. I know that there's no, government printing more of it. Like it's like it's got all the things that you would want in a currency, and the added benefit that it does, even though it's pretty volatile from our standpoint, it's actually pretty damn stable from other countries' viewpoint, where their currency is hyperinflated, going crazy. Sure. It's like, it makes sense to them. That's what I think. That's where you're going to see the biggest changes, the biggest things coming down the pike.
Right. Well, and that whole tracking part of it is because how the value of a currency is based on the accuracy of that currency, right? So they're using blockchain, which is just the super way to encrypt that. To really guard and protect the values that they assign to those currencies. So it's huge. The business is going to go continually and just in a progressive way, and get better, more prestigious.
All right. Let me take 1 second here. We're having some issues with our video output on the live stream for some reason. If you're in the chat section, can you do me a favor and let me know what that's looking like? It seems like when we have a guest on through Skype, it does that.
Yeah,
it seems to be the last couple of weeks for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's your fault, man. I blame you.
All right, I take all responsibility. You can blame me, man.
I will.
God's kind of like that, right? If you get mad or something doesn't go right, just blame God.
Yeah.
Then keep talking to God.
That bastard.
Just keep talking to him.
Why would he do that? Well, if this video doesn't come out smooth, it does record on my desktop here, so I can always just upload the video later. Not a huge deal.
All right.
It's nice to have it live so people can see it and interact with us. But we do have one guy in the chat. So over here, he says, "Hi, beardy dude and non-beardy dude."
Non-beardy dude.
This is our friend Gabe. He's so obsessed with the beards. I don't understand it. I think he eats beard hair when he's. I'm sorry, man. I'm just kidding.
He doesn't eat it, man. He flosses with it.
Ooh, that's even better. Looks like it said it looks like y'all are on AOL dial-up. Oh God, that's terrible.
That's correct.
I don't understand. So it says encoding overloaded. Consider turning down video settings or using faster encoding preset. I don't think that's the problem. I just don't think that's the problem. At any rate. All right. Well, we're going to continue marching on, because we've got a lot to cover and a lot of important stuff to talk about, because this is there's some crazy shit going on. All right, well,
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and just jump into the main topic, just so we can make sure we have time to cover all this. So if you've all been paying attention to the news at all over the past week or so, especially this weekend, there was let's say an event that happened down in front of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and it seems like everybody seems to have had it figured out off of a 60-second clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the beginning, and we'll go ahead and play the original clip I saw, and I'll tell you kind of what my initial thoughts were, and we'll start from there, and we'll just work our way up. So if you can, Haley, if you can play that video from the beginning. This is from Sean King. Before you play it, let me read what it says. He says, "I am so deeply grieved and angry by this as young kids in MAGA hats surrounded and mocked a beloved Native American elderly yesterday. When your power is centered in your whiteness, mocking others who are unlike you makes you feel strong, but it's weak and despicable." All right, go ahead and start that video at the beginning there, and we'll play that. Not that one. You scrolled down too far. It's back up. There it is. That one right there. You got it? You got to start at the beginning. All right, this is 1 minute of video. Now, for the podcast listening audience, all you're seeing is a Native American gentleman banging on a drum, chanting, and then a kid, maybe 16 years old, is standing there just kind of looking him in the eyes, smiling, calm, slight smirk perhaps. He's got a Make America Great Again hat. There's a crowd around him, all kind of jamming along with him a little bit. And that's pretty much it. All right, so that was the whole thing, and just before I let you all jump in, my initial thought on that was, what's going on? I don't understand where's the violence in this? Where's the
kind of what led up to this whole altercation?
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking, that's what I was thinking, is like, this must be the end result of something that happened and maybe they just didn't catch it on film, or like, I don't understand what everybody's so mad about. Like, what's going on here? And I started doing a search, looking around, trying to figure it out. And all I saw time and time and time again, probably hundreds of times, this exact video, just copied, retweeted, pasted, replayed over and over, people having this emotional reaction to it.
Well, Sean King, I've followed him before in the past. He's very, very far left, and
right.
He is also very well known to create controversy around things that, well, situations like this. You know, I've often told people you need to apply the 10-second rule when it comes to stories that are being released like this. Count to 10. Because by the time you get to 10, more of the story is going to be released, and you're going to see a broader picture of what's really going on. The problem is everybody counts to 3, and everybody's jumping the gun onto what's really going on here.
Yeah, that's all I saw. That's how I started getting more and more curious, because all I saw was big emotional reactions. All I saw was big, huge, "Oh, I'm so disgusted. I'm clutching my pearls. I'm fainting on my couch. I'm so, torn up over this atrocity. This is what we've become in America."
But I kind of wonder how this would have played out had the kid not been wearing a MAGA hat. Would this situation been different?
We'll get to that for sure.
So
we'll definitely get to that
later on Unframe of Mind.
Yes, later on the Unframe of Mind show, we'll talk about what really happened. So this is basically what this whole show's about, is what the rest of the story is, and it's going to blow your mind. Go back to that first tab. I'm going to have you scroll down to the comment section a little bit. I just wanted to show some of what was being said. Keep going. So as I was reading the comments down here, the first reply here I see was a lady, I'm not sure, the Sweets Prince. Anyway, she says, "Okay, Twitter, do your thing. Let's get their lives ruined for being stupid." All right. So the next person says, smirking boy should be the poster boy for white privilege, and he represents something seriously wrong with his generation. Where has this generation missed the teaching of love, inclusion, respect, kindness? If this is the future of the United States, God help us all. And then as we went down, there's a meme that says, it shows the picture of this boy smirking. It says, pro-choice, because some people should have never been born. Like, this is the bullshit that people put out.
Hate.
Yeah, it's
that's
nasty.
Just again.
And this is kind of how people respond too, right? They get a little bit of data and they think they understand everything, but what they're really doing is they're taking that little bit of data to press the noise of all the rest of their ideas.
Right. Yeah,
right?
and
so there's not knowledge. There's just kind of a repeating of a stereotype that's going on in their heads.
Exactly. But I think part of the problem too is with social media, everybody has this instant, spontaneous, emotional driven side to them that the first time that they see something without having all the facts, they're wanting to jump on this bandwagon because A, he's wearing a MAGA hat, 2, he's white, and 3, he's also a kid at a march. Yeah. To me, this had disaster written all over it from the very get-go.
No, it had targeted victim written all over it, is what
exactly.
It had written all over it.
Right. So when you see something like this happen, you automatically know that this isn't going to be good, no matter how you're going to want to, paint this from either side of the picture here.
Right.
But that's the thing, is that when this full 2-hour video finally came out, everybody's perceptions of what they originally had thought, you almost look like a dumbass. You really look stupid.
It's even worse than that. It wasn't even the full 2-hour video that came out. It was the minute 49-second video that came out. The little bit of extra context you got when you saw what had happened just moments before, where everybody was talking about, like, the original narrative was, and the thing that they were screaming about was, oh, well, all these boys just came and surrounded this Native American gentleman, this Vietnam vet, all these emotional feely words that get people all worked up. Mm-hmm. And they surrounded him and started taunting him and treating him disrespectfully. But then if you watch just 30 seconds before, you see, oh, he walked into their crowd while they were standing there. And there's a lot more to the story. We'll definitely get to that as we go, because there's a whole nother team in this whole event that nobody has talked about.
Nobody.
Well, some have. To be fair, a few have mentioned it briefly.
But it hasn't been to the exposure of what you're seeing when it comes to Nick Sandman and Nathan Phillips. So
now I want everybody who's watching to remember that initial video you saw and how much outrage there was, because that boy was being very disrespectful, okay? Just standing there smirking, that was a sign of disrespect, okay? Keep that in mind as we go through this whole series of clips. So we're gonna start with sorry, before we forget, let's show some of the major responses from major people here. We got Kathy Griffin's first emotional response. She says, P.S. The reply from the school was pathetic and impotent. Name these kids. I want names. Shame them. If you think these fuckers wouldn't dox you in a heartbeat, think again. Yeah.
I just don't. That
vile.
One is vile.
Yeah. Vile. I have no other word for that.
Now, pull up the response from...
Donald Trump Jr. Responded to that. He says, conservatives have been banned from Twitter for much less. Attempting to dox minors is surely a violation of Twitter policy. And he tagged Jack Dorsey, owner of Twitter, for those who don't know. Yeah. So Kathy Griffin's attempting to dox minors. That's what she's doing now.
Right.
And matter of fact, they did get doxed. And a matter of fact, this super wise detective agency called the Internet doxed the wrong kid. And this wrong kid ended up getting, I don't know if you heard this part.
I did.
The wrong kid got targeted. He goes to school, but he wasn't even there that day. And his family had to go through like death threats and violence, all sorts of bullshit, and ended up interrupting like a family wedding they were having. Like, it was just like they nothing to do with this whole event, but because the Internet wants to go try to ruin people's lives, they got caught up in this sweep as well.
Right. Well, and that, just comment real quick, that's the cultural narcissism which is that each culture basically has their expectations. And when the expectation of a culture clashes with another culture, that's when you have all of this vitriol, right? And this just unexpected but really unpleasant communication styles and these communication cycles that go on. And consequent with all that, nobody's learning anything about patience and gentleness. And
there's
and
a few. There's a few
important motions about, the human soul, the value of the inalienable rights, and all the things that make us Americans.
Right. So in the comments section, Harry the Swamp Cleaner, he's our friend from Twitter. He hops in here. He said, people don't want to talk about anti-white racism. It is quietly swept away with the constant regurgitation of pop culture vulgarity and the mainstream shame train of identity politics. Well written, dude. You're like a poet in disguise. He says, I'm so mad. Yeah. Like, I totally get it. And actually, we might be covering anti-white racism. Just so happens, maybe we might be covering that. Because, like I said before, there's a whole nother team in this battle of sorts that was not mentioned at all.
No.
Nobody wants to talk about.
Mainstream media did not shed light on this.
And as we play the clips,
but we're going to.
Yeah, as we play the clips, you'll understand real quickly why they didn't play.
And
any
I got
of these
a feeling that after we play these clips, we're going to be deemed the racist ones.
So
I guarantee
before we start playing clip one, let's play one last reaction by Alyssa Milano. She says the red MAGA hat is the new white hood. Without white boys being able to empathize with other people, humanity will continue to destroy itself. Hashtag first thoughts when I wake up.
She should have stayed in bed.
She should have said that. That was much nicer than she said before.
The conclusion at the end is pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people should not be allowed on Twitter, and this is one of them.
Hey,
Kathy Griffin.
Give her, listen, let her be on Twitter. Give her plenty of rope to hang herself. That's exactly what we want. Good
Absolutely.
Lord. People,
Kathy, you can call me anytime.
This is ridiculous. Like, and my first thought as I'm reading that is, doesn't she have, uncles, father, brothers, possibly? Doesn't she have any white men in her life that would make her maybe think twice about spewing this hatred? Like that. That's all.
But
I can think
again,
about.
this is before more evidence and more facts were presented to the case.
Mm-hmm.
You had another celebrity. That retracted her statement talking about what she originally had said about, these kids, from Covington High School, the Catholic Church. And it was good to see one celebrity actually retract the comments that were made by her. And because she had done that, she had gained so much hate from the left because of it. Because it just, you're not supposed to go back on the things that you say on social media. That's not okay anymore,
So I'm gonna ask a question of the audience here, and just give me a short answer in the comment section. After I play this clip, I want you to tell me which one do you think is more disrespectful to Native Americans, the smirking boy or clip number one? Whoa. Oh, producers paying attention.
All right, Bailey, come on.
Hey, you're gonna have to be off your phone. Seriously.
I need you to listen here.
Oh, man.
Huh?
I didn't know what all these were right here.
Yeah, those are your tabs 1 through 7 that you need.
Hey, well, while we have a moment of dead time, when we think about Native Americans, this is just really a passion for me. When you think about, how did all these people get to North America and South America? When the people arrive from Europe and they say, hey, what are all these people doing here? Right? There's a whole story that I'd love to share about that. Just, again, we all have our theories, but it's really, really important. And then, you think about the colonialization of stuff, and that's for us in 1500, when that starts. For us, it's like 700 years ago, right? Or 600 years ago. And so there's really a great story there when we talk about humanity and talk about people and souls and values and prejudices, right? Prejudgments. And just some very valuable things that can help a lot of people. If we can get that stuff straight, then our communication can become more clear, more precise, more effective. Because bottom line,
say
if we don't get that stuff straight, this place could we could burn this place up pretty fast.
Well, I would say to your point that the whole goal of especially the postmodern type theorists, their whole goal is to take away the efficiency of conversation, to make it way more difficult for us to communicate with each other, to take away common words that everybody understands what they mean and tell us we can't use them anymore.
Yeah.
So you got two completely opposing forces battling it out right now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna play this clip here. This is again just leave me a quick note in the comments section and tell me which one do you think is more offensive or more disrespectful of Native Americans. Go ahead.
Before you started worshiping totem poles, you was worshiping the true living God.
That's right.
Before you became an idol worshiper, you was worshiping the true and living God. And this is the reason why this land was taken away from you. Because you worship everything except the Most High.
Okay, not terrible, not too terrible. I mean, maybe he's making a point. Maybe he's making a point. Let's go to clip number 2. Just hit spacebar; it'll be faster.
You're not supposed to worship eagles, buffaloes,
That's right.
rams,
Right.
all types of animals.
That's right.
This is the reason why the Lord took away your land.
So now he's telling them what they're not supposed to worship. That's a little different, don't you think, than smirking?
All right.
You think so?
Well, what's 3 got?
Oh, let's okay. We'll do number 3. All right.
You're not an Indian. Indian means savage. You know where that name came from? You know where that name came from? It came from the so-called white man.
Oh.
So-called white man.
So now they're working up the Native Americans.
I guess we got the remix version there. Yeah.
Okay, so now the things that the waters are getting a little heated at the moment. So
Yeah, that was pretty much the whole vibe of what they were saying to this because there was the Indigenous Peoples March there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's one team. We know they were there because we know about Nathan Phillips, the drummer boy.
Absolutely.
We know that the MAGA guys were there,
Right.
and they weren't really. I mean, they were Trump supporters, but they were really just a group of kids that were there for the pro-life march.
Right.
Okay, they were there representing their school. They were waiting on. They were actually just waiting on a bus. Okay, that's exactly what was going on. They were waiting on a bus. And then there's a third team that we just introduced you to. Now these guys, for those who don't know, these are the Black Hebrew Israelites, is what they call themselves. And I will tell you what.
Are they peaceful? Are they peaceful people?
I'll tell you what. As I was cutting up the clips out of the 2-hour event.
Mm-hmm.
I was so tired of hearing that voice, that spewing of hatred. Like, I had to go decompress. It was bad.
But I thought it was white men that were the racist, homophobic, and bigots, and all the things that we hear throughout the mainstream media that paint us as to be those individuals.
Well, maybe let's do one more clip before we open it up for a little more discussion.
Okay.
This is clip number 5. Clip number 4. And when that lady that he was speaking to just a moment ago, she attempted to discuss back. Have a she wanted to have a back and forth, and
okay.
So this was their response to that.
This is the problem, Israel. There's always our women coming up with a loud mouth, thinking they can run and bogart things, thinking they can come and distract things with their loud-ass mouth because they not used to dealing with no real men. And you think we supposed to bow down to your damn emotions when you coming to run your mouth and distract what we doing instead of coming with order and with a real dialogue. She's coming around here being wicked.
So that sounds pretty sexist and anti-woman, doesn't it?
A little bit.
I mean, that's kind of what we get accused of, isn't it?
It is.
As white men.
I think Gillette even ran an ad.
I know.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, just to illustrate that point real quick, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Do this exercise with me. What's 1 plus 4 plus 2 equal to?
7.
Good. Now, think about that, because you know what those numbers are. 1, 4, 2, right? You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But when the mind gets thrown information right after each other, and you get experience after experience after experience, what your mind immediately does is says, how do I solve that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a lot of this craziness comes in, because most people are not that fast in their minds, right? They can't take things apart and really identify what's going on with each segment. And so consequently, they get all this input going on in their heads, and then they get confused and they can't make sense of it. So what do they go back to? They go back to their own prejudgments.
The narrative that they've been fed, the propaganda, So that's exactly why people freaked out when they saw this clip. Is they automatically had a response ready to go. And a matter of fact, because they used terms like Native American and veteran, there was a lot of people on the right that was also falling for this. Which I did see a lot of them, more of them actually turn around and say, "Oh, I did make a mistake. I shouldn't have responded that way. I should have waited for more information to come out." Which these people are mature, old enough to know better than as far as this media narrative crap. I knew this for what it was the second I saw it. Like, I watched that 60-second clip, and immediately the back, the hairs on the back of my neck are going up, going, "Wait a minute,
there has got to be more to this story than what we're being told."
I was more confident that there was more to the story the harder I tried to look, and the more that I couldn't find the rest of the story. Like, that's how I was like, yeah, this is like, no, there's more to this story. I know for a fact there's more to the story. This is not what it seems, and it's not even what it seems on face value. It's just people seeing it and perceiving it in such a way that they're automatically thinking, "Oh, MAGA hat equals racist, equals this boy must be thinking racist thoughts. I'm going to project my vile onto this boy." And I've had people sitting there talking. I've heard people talking about how, just the look on that boy's face just reminded me of the dickheads back when I was in school, bullying me and treating me like garbage. And then they'd stand there with that smirk on their face, and they're interpreting so much mind reading going on.
Exactly, yeah. Because they're interpreting, and this is how the human mind works. You're looking at stuff and you have all these experiences, but you have to decide how to put them together. Right? And they do that, and you do that from the moment you're born, right? Or even probably like 5 weeks is when the brain gets its first firing going on, right? So from that point, that brain is learning and it's gathering information.
So are you saying we should abort them before that 5 weeks? Is that, sorry. I would never mischaracterize anybody's thoughts and words.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, as far as development, though, is that the human mind develops like that. And so we base our whole world on the experiences that we receive. Individuals do that, right? And consequently, if you don't have enough experience and enough breadth of experience where you really understand points, you're going to just mesh things together, and that becomes your personal culture, right? And then your personal culture has to mix with other people's personal cultures that are totally different. And then there's conflict, right? Clash of cultures. And that's what we see over and over and over and over again through history.
Right. So you go bring up the text tool. I'm going to correct something real quick. You got to bring up the text tool. It's over there it's down. Way down the T. Look for the T. All right. So when I was calling you by the wrong name, I just realized I need to fix that. And yes,
yeah, Dr. Holberg.
We'll add the R back to it. You got to click off the text tool and click back on the text tool. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and play so before we play this clip, let me give you some background, because I didn't want to play obviously the whole 2-hour clip. Basically, if you need to check it, you can go check it. That's good. So what was going on is you saw those gentlemen, for lack of a better term, shouting out at the Native Americans at the Indigenous Peoples March, and then that kind of moved on about its thing. And then eventually, as they're out there on the street, they're hollering at people, giving people shit, yelling they're spewing their hate and whatever they're doing. You have this group of white boys from the Christian Academy come enter the scene.
Catholic Academy.
Sorry, Catholic Academy. It's all the same to me. I'm an atheist. You understand, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So anyway, we go.
Different cultures.
Exactly.
I do understand. I just misspoke. At any rate, these boys start to wander up because they're actually supposed to be there waiting on a bus, because they're supposed to be everybody's supposed to be conglomerating there because they got a bus coming up. So they were starting to kind of filter in and collect together because the bus was about to be there. And then as that's happening, now these black Hebrew Israelites start yelling at them and saying bad things to them. Let's just say bad things to them. Let's go ahead and play clip 5 here and just show some of the early interactions of what started happening there as they started to arrive.
See how you got these pompous bastards come down here in the middle of a native rally with their dirty ass hat on, with their dusty ass hat on, little dusty ass animals.
So what he was referring to for the podcast listening audience is there was a boy in a MAGA hat that had kind of shown up, and now he's getting accused of interrupting the native rally, as if they weren't just doing that exact same thing earlier.
Exactly, yeah.
Hilarious. Dirty dogs. Dirty animals we are. Dusty ass animals, I think.
Now, obviously, there was
the
more words and terminologies that were used towards those individuals.
Oh yeah, this was just the very beginning. We're just
Yeah,
getting started,
we're just
guys.
getting into
we're
this.
ramping up, and like I said, like it says in the title of this video, not safe for work. Okay, just giving you a fair warning there. As we continue getting, matter of fact, the very next one might
piss off a lot of people.
Might harm your sensitivities.
Yeah.
So be aware it's coming. So let's go to clip 6. Go to clip 6.
Let's make America great again. A bunch of child molesting faggots.
That's right.
Just like your damn Donald Trump.
So child molesting faggots. That's what there's probably about 20 boys now at this point. They've started to conglomerate a little bit more.
Now again, this wasn't white individuals. It wasn't the kids. Wasn't any of the students. Nobody was chanting "Build a wall." These were the black Hebrew Israelites.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Different culture.
Where is the black community on this?
Well, I'm trying to figure out.
I know. This is the shit that really pisses me off. Okay, black people, where are you? Where are you?
Darren, you might want to kick back for just a minute. He's got a rant on him.
No,
I know it's coming.
This is the shit that I'm
not
probably going to
making fun
catch
of
a
you.
lot of
Go
hell
ahead.
for.
Say it.
But I'm calling out the black community once and for all. Where are you at? You want you want Trump to disavow the KKK? Black community, where are you? Call these people out for what they are. Racist individuals. You want the same respect in return from us? I want it from you. Come up with it. Because I'm tired of this racist bullshit that people want to sit here and paint white people for. Where are you at, black community? Where are you at? I'm waiting. I want to know. Continue on.
Right on.
Yeah.
Anything else, Dr. Holbrook, before we continue?
I think it's a really good point you're making, Anthony, in this way. If I'm hearing you right, in that here's these black guys, African Americans, right? They're Native Americans or whatever the Hebrew Israelites, right? Black Hebrew Israelites, I think is the name of them. But they're African American. They're from Africa, let's say. I don't know where else you want to say they're from. But they have a culture that they've developed over the last 100 years, right? And that they think that they were, somehow descended from the Israelites. So Israelites came over to America, right? And there's a whole bunch of cultures that think that they were actually, not a bunch of cultures, but there's cultures that do that, think that.
I don't care where they're from. I mean, in today's society, black people want to sit here and come after white people for white privilege and all this other nonsense.
Oh, it's more so white people coming after white people for white privilege in defense of the black people.
So again, I mean,
not the color of your skin is your point, right?
It has nothing to do with the color of the skin. It's called exposing racial situations and people for who they are and what they're doing. People want to talk about racial division in this country. It has got nothing to do with Trump. It has everything to do with individuals like this that keeps this shit divided. It's not the politicians. Yes, it is the mainstream media, but when you get down to it, when it comes to race and why we're such a screwed up country as it is right now, this is why. This is part of the reasons why this shit will never end. It will never die down. It's going to keep going. As long as people like this don't get confronted and called out for their crap, it's going to continue on. It will. But then black people want to sit there and talk about, well, we got a right to do this because we were suppressed for so long. Well, I don't give a shit how long you were. Call it out now. We're talking about now, not 20, 30 years ago. We're talking about now. Why can't people call it out? Why? Because you're black and you're entitled to something now? That's black privilege if you ask me. Fuck the white privilege. Sorry.
He said sorry. Well,
I'm tired of it, dude.
No,
I'm
no.
tired.
Listen.
People want to call me racist, a bigot. I don't give a fuck. I really don't.
To your point, there are actually a number of black people out there that are leaving the black party. They're leaving the Democratic.
I know there is.
So,
I know that there is. I know that there is.
I want to show you on this next clip what happens if you are black and you try to disagree with this group.
Go ahead. Let's roll it.
So that
You're
that's
calling Uncle Tom, and only God knows whatever else.
Oh,
that they're gonna call
I don't
him.
know that I got a good clip of it, but they were calling any of the Native Americans that were defending Trump supporters Uncle Tomahawks.
Oh my God.
Clever, right? It's clever.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Wrong, but clever. All right, so clip number 7 here. It's a little bit longer. It's about 50 seconds long, but I think it's very instructive about what happens if you try to disagree with them, and your skin happens to be black.
This nigga scoffing now. Now he being an Uncle Tom. That's right.
Don't be an Uncle Tomahawk.
That's right.
Don't be. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that, brother. Don't
Our
do
people
that.
always want to get physical.
You jumping up. You jumping
Our
up.
people
Don't
always
do
want to
that,
get
brother.
physical, man.
Because you want a coon now. You want a coon now. Ain't no coon here. You might as well put on one of them red hats. You might as well put on one of them red hats. You're a simple Uncle Tom. That's right. I hear you.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
But he preaching the hate.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at this dumbass nigga, man. Dumbass nigga, man.
Nah, he ain't doing that.
Stupid ass niggas, man.
Uncle Tomahawks.
Get
This is the
dumbass
reason why
outta
we
here,
stuck
man.
in the condition that we in. I ain't
Man
telling
with
you
this nigga, man.
No, they're stuck in that condition because they spew the hate that they do. This man, this black man, has a right to believe whatever he chooses to believe. And if he's a conservative, he has a right to be a conservative. He's not an Uncle Tom because he thinks differently than they do. You know, there is a black community, and I should have probably mentioned this earlier, that don't believe in this crap right here. And that's what I want to see more of. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what needs to be exposed as well, but in a good way. You know, this cultural thing that we go through with black people, you know, calling other black people Uncle Toms is not necessarily, because they're free thinkers and they want to think for themselves. They don't want to be a part of such hate as, you know, the Israelites. To me, those are the people that need to be exposed and I don't know if they're on the Southern Poverty hate group list. I haven't checked into that. I probably should have. But if they're not, they need to be.
Right.
I don't know how big the organization is, but I will tell you what, this is something that really needs to be exposed for what it is. You want to talk about real racism, you want to talk about real problems, those are your individuals. It is not to say that it's just black people. It's all demographics. It is. There, you have your small groups of hate people, but don't single out just white men. That's the problem. Everybody wants to single out white men, telling, you know, people that if they put on a MAGA hat, that all of a sudden it's the new white hood. No, it's not. You want to talk about white hood? You just saw it coming from the black community. That's all I got to say on that. So.
Hey, well, let me just pop in there too, because to make America great again, we need to go back to the Constitution.
Yeah, that's it is a simplified version of a vision, and it's 4 words, but people are trying to interpret it their own way, and black people are hearing this and going, well, make America great again means what? When was America great? You know, from where I'm coming from, America was never really that great. We've been struggling, and I understand that concept, but I really don't think that that's what this means. This has been spun out of control into some other message that really doesn't mean that. It really kind of means more of it from an economic level, I would say. There's a lot of virtues and values that America used to hold that even the black community used to hold. You had illegitimacy rates in the black community were stronger back during the highest days of slavery than they are now. I mean, you're talking about, you know, you actually had strong family structures during slavery, whereas right now you've got roughly a 75% illegitimacy rate of kids being born to single mothers. And you telling me that the reason you're struggling is because of the white man? No, the reason you're struggling is because of the welfare state. That's a whole nother topic.
I would say it's even this. It's the reason they're struggling is because of the culture, right? That when you grow up and you're in a slave situation and you happen to be a woman who got pregnant, a lot of them died because people were just killing the babies with all kinds of stuff, right? So they grow into that slavery culture, guys. You got to just know that doesn't go away, right? And who's gonna learn to do better stuff, right? And we just celebrated MLK's birthday, and that stud, right? He got in there and mixed it up, but building that culture of that the American ideal in the Constitution, right, that they were all created equal. Just look, that's an ideal. We're not going to make that real until everybody believes the ideal.
Right.
Yeah. And we're not ever going to get there. We're never going to get there.
And I think
that's the ideals of our country.
Respect
They're
the time
ideals,
here. I gotta go.
but we aim for them.
I just want to say one thing real quick. I don't think that if you want to talk about cultural boundaries between blacks and whites, I don't think the black community quite understands how much the white community wants to see the black community actually improve.
Absolutely.
There is a big demographic of white people, such as us, that want to see the black community improve itself. They don't want to see the black on black crime in Chicago. They want to see the inner cities do better. But that's the problem is that between blacks and white, you can't get over that threshold and that barrier of understanding that white people actually genuinely care about the black community. But because there's such a small percentage of the black Israelites, that hinders this bridge that needs to be crossed.
It's not so much. They're such a small group. They're pretty relatively insignificant, but there is the fact that they'll
small group with a loud voice.
But they'll take these little incidences of what looks like, or they can spin to look like some kind of white racism, and they'll blow that up and magnify it. That's kind of the whole point of what I'm trying to point out here is there's also a small incidence of a few black people saying some really nasty shit, but it is completely ignored. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like the KKK.
Greg Coffee Grounds Bear on the comment section said, "Have you read this quote from Orwell's 1984?" maybe.
Yeah. So, hey, Anthony, just to cap off on that, what you said about that the white culture, a majority of them, want the black culture to do well.
Yeah, we do.
I know, but we got to communicate that every chance we get.
Well,
you see, that's what we have to put out there, because what we say can add to the verbiage that goes out across the airwaves. That's why on Twitter and all these great places, we got to just feed that positive energy. So anyway, just my thoughts real quick. I'm trying to do that on my Twitter.
Oh yeah, I do remember this quote. They went ahead and pasted the quote. The quote is from Orwell's 1984. It says, "The smallest thing could give you away: a nervous tick, an unconscious look of anxiety, a habit of muttering to yourself, anything that carried with it the suggestion of abnormality, of having something to hide. In any case, to wear an improper expression on your face." Yeah, this is very 1984ish for sure. As a matter of fact, I did think that when I saw this. This boy being basically castrated for a smirk. So let's play clip number. I got about 10 more clips here to play, so we got to move this along a little bit, or we'll never get done. Let's go with
hang in there with us, guys.
I'll tell you what. Let's go to clip 9. Skip 8. Let's go to clip 9.
What the Lord is coming for.
All these peckerwoods with America, make America great. This nigga want to talk that garbage about nigga what you want to do. Look at all these dusty ass crackers with that racist garbage on. Look at these dirty ass crackers. Can't stand in the damn sun for 5 minutes.
Oh wait, I did hear somebody saying build that wall. But it wasn't the guy. It wasn't the kids. It was the black guys.
Right.
Built that wall and mocking them. Nobody said it.
You know what's sad is...
Did you hear that at the very end there? Where he said they can't even stand in the sun for 5 minutes? I actually got it.
But the sad part
I giggled a little bit at that.
These are grown adults that is spewing his hatred towards children.
Right. All right.
What kind of example does that set? You know what I'm saying?
Let's go clip 9. And I'm sorry.
We're on 9.
10, 11. Let's do 10 and 11 back to back.
Look at their ass, Israel. They ass gone off of that. Look at that mob of these dirty animals. They gone.
That's how you dismiss them.
That's right.
The truth's gonna be told, whether y'all want to hear it or not.
Okay. Clip 11.
You crackers are some slivery ass bastards.
Oh, we're slithery ass bastards. That's pretty good. All right. So, moving on, we're gonna show this school chant that the kids started doing. They kind of, from what I understand. Oh, I never brought up the kids' official response. We're gonna have Haley bring that up while I'm working on this. I'll get you your notes. But anyway, let's bring up clip 12 and show the school chant, if you don't mind. They got tired of hearing these guys, so they started trying. They actually asked one of the adults. The chaperones there, if they could,
they wanted to drown all
do
of it
their
out.
school chants, so they could drown out these guys, which is good strategy. That's a pretty mature thing to do, I would say, given the circumstances.
Yep. Go ahead.
These crackers wild, huh?
Look at this foolie. Get no more than 5 verses in the Hebrew life. Look at this here. You serious? Put him wrong!
And the next one.
I just think that it's awesome that they're fighting racism with their school chants.
Yeah.
You know, they're being the bigger people here.
All right, Haley, when you get a chance, look that up. But go ahead and play the next clip.
That's right. Look at these sea of demons. Hey, look. Look out.
See, he started to say "sea of demons." Did you hear that?
Yep.
Get them, get this crap.
Look at this shit.
Wait, who say the pull-up boys? Yo, who say the pull-up boys don't pull out and turn it up? I'm not saying the Lord.
Hey, I'm turning up with Esau. Esau on this caveman thing. I'm turning up. I'm turning up. Because you know what? You dirty bastards better be ready. You better be ready.
Ready for what exactly? Yeah, so you'll find out for what here pretty soon. So let's show the audience. If you guys don't have anything to comment on that just yet, I'll go ahead. We'll show the audience.
I think the videos at this point are kind of speaking for themselves.
Yeah. So basically, now this is the point in the series of events where our good friend Nathan Phillips enters the picture. And you'll see him. This is not the yeah. We saw the original clip where it was showing the 60 seconds of him beating the drum in the kid's face. So let's show. I want to show this next clip here of. Let's see. Yeah, of him actually entering the room. You can do that in a second. Go ahead and bring up the clip. This would be clip 4.
But wasn't it the kids that approached him? Wasn't it the?
Yeah. According to the narrative, the kids approached him, and I want you guys to watch this, and I'll kind of try to I'm sorry, clip 14. Go ahead and turn the volume down just a hair so I can talk over it. But there was this is I'm going to talk through it a little bit for the podcast audience. Go ahead and play it. This is a 2-minute clip. I may not play the whole thing.
Here come Gad. Here come Gad.
Here comes.
Make America great again, hats. Look at the hats. Look at the hats. We ain't taking. Look, we not taking. Look at Gad. That's right, Gad. Look at Gad.
So I'm not seeing anything that suggests that that Dick Sandman was approaching.
Yeah, you literally just watched.
He walked over to them the whole time.
Nathan walking from way away up to these guys.
Look, Gad not playing. He came to the rescue. Our elder right there. Look at him.
And some of the kids are mocking him a little bit. They're kind of jamming a little bit, kind of smiling, having a good time.
I don't think they're really mocking him. I think that they were already in a school chant.
Yeah, I don't know that it's mocking in the nasty sense, or more so just kind of having
going to the beat of the drum.
Being 16-year-old kids, really.
Right.
So now they're just starting to jump and jam with his drum now.
Yeah, they're going to the beat of the drum.
Nobody's touching him. Nobody's saying anything.
Nobody's in his face.
No, nobody's confronting him. And
hey, now they gonna join in, huh?
No,
Gad put that thing down, don't he?
Did he calm all these spirits right down?
Gad's serious with it, ain't he?
Gad's serious with it. He calmed all these spirits. It's spiritual right there. He calmed all these spirits down.
That's right.
He calmed all these kids down.
Demonic, he calmed all that down.
Say that again, King.
All these spirits was getting demonic. God came through and calmed all these spirits down.
That's right.
All these spirits got calmed.
So saying a school chant was them getting demonic.
Yeah.
Look how they mocking.
So at this point, I believe this is about in the original video you would have seen him
in the face
of the boy. It's hard to see from this particular angle, but you can still hear him playing the drums. You can see the boys in there jumping around, dancing a little bit. I'm sure if we took a few moments, we could sync up the clips and show exactly what was going on.
But I think this is where the black Hebrew Israelites were basically at this point irrelevant, because there were so many kids that were chanting. There was the beat of the drum, and the situation obviously tilted towards, between the boy and Nathan Phillips in the altercation. So But
Well, if you could even call it an altercation.
it wasn't really an altercation. I mean, the way everybody has painted it, it has been an altercation, which clearly it was not. But Nicholas Sandman did issue a statement. I believe it was actually well written too. I do know that some of the families have actually gained legal representation and
absolutely.
have now threatened to sue anybody for slander, upon their families, or even trying to dox them and so forth. So there has been some blowback to this towards the media.
Okay, so I would like to take a second here to read.
The student at the center of the controversial encounter that went viral between a Native American.
Yeah, I want to take a second and read his response. It was a very well written response. So he says, I am providing this factual account of what happened on Friday afternoon at the Lincoln Memorial to correct misinformation and outright lies being spread about my family and me. I am the student in the video who was confronted by the Native American protester. I arrived at the Lincoln Memorial at 4:30 p.m. I was told to be there by 5:30 p.m. when the buses were due to leave Washington for the trip back to Kentucky. We had been attending the March for Life rally and then had split up into small groups to do sightseeing. When we arrived, we noticed 4 African-American protesters who were also on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. I am not sure what they were protesting, and I did not interact with them. I did hear them direct derogatory insults at our school group. I didn't read that earlier. I didn't see that. So the protesters said hateful things. They called us racist, bigots, white crackers, faggots, and incest kids. They also taunted an African-American student from my school by telling him that by telling him that we would harvest his organs. I have no idea what that insult means, but it was startling to hear. Because we were being loudly attacked and taunted in public, a student in our group asked one of our teacher chaperones for permission to begin our school spirit chants to counter the hateful things that were being shouted at our group. The chants were commonly used at sporting events. They are all positive in nature and sound like what you would hear at any high school. Our chaperone gave us permission to use our school chants. We would not have done that without obtaining permission from the adults in charge of our group. The adults that apparently nobody said was there to help.
Right.
Yeah. So after a few minutes, at no time did I hear any student chant anything other than the school spirit chants. I did not witness or hear any students chant "build that wall" or anything hateful or racist at any time. Assertions to the contrary are simply false. Our chants were loud because we wanted to drown out the hateful comments that were being shouted at us by the protesters. After a few minutes of chanting, the Native American protesters, who I hadn't previously noticed, approached our group. The Native American protesters had drums and were accompanied by at least one person with a camera. The protester everyone had seen in the video began playing his drums as he waded into the crowd, which parted for him. I did not see anyone try to block his path. He locked eyes with me and approached me, coming within inches of my face. He played his drum the entire time he was in my face. I never interacted with this protester. I did not speak to him. I did not make any hand gestures or other aggressive moves. To be honest, I was startled and confused as to why he had approached me. We had already been yelled at by another group of protesters, the Black Hebrew Israelites, and when the second group approached, I was worried that the situation was getting out of control, where adults were attempting to provoke teenagers. I believed that by remaining motionless and calm, I was helping to defuse the situation. I realized everyone had cameras, and that perhaps a group of adults was trying to provoke a group of teenagers into a larger conflict. Yeah, take a second on that. That's one thing that I think just white men especially are very, very, very aware of right now, is that anything we do and say, any reaction we put out there could be misinterpreted, misconstrued, that we have to be 10 times more careful than other people about.
But he was
interact.
careful, and look how this was still spun.
Yeah.
It does not matter at this point anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is where white people need to start fighting back.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. So during, where was I at now? So I believe that by remaining motionless calm, I already read that. Let's see, I said a silent prayer that the situation would not get out of hand. During the period of the drumming, a member of the protesters' entourage began yelling at a fellow student that we stole our land and that we should go back to Europe. I heard one of my fellow students begin to respond. I motioned to my classmate and tried to get him to stop engaging with the protester, as I was still in the mindset that we need to calm down tensions. I never felt like I was blocking the Native American protester. He did not make any attempt to go around me. It was clear to me that he had singled me out for a confrontation, although I'm not sure why. The engagement ended when one of our teachers told me the buses had arrived and it was time to go. I obeyed my teacher and simply walked to the buses. And at that moment, I thought I had diffused the situation by remaining calm, and I was thankful nothing physical had occurred. So we'll copy that link and put it in the description of the video over here for that. So if you want to continue reading the rest of that, you can go ahead and copy that link and just paste it in the description. So that'll be there for you shortly if you want to finish reading that. But at any rate, I want to continue playing as they were walking away. I'm sorry. Hey, whoa! There's quite a few comments. Oh, so I think he was finishing some more of that quote. Anyway, so let's go back to let's go clip 16. Let's try that one there. Yeah, let's go 16. I gotta move this along a little bit. It's already 8 o'clock.
He said, "This racist. What the hell is all this?
Right.
What the hell is you see a crackers with Make America Great hat on? Yeah, you's a cracker. You's a cracker. All of you crackers."
Oh, they gonna call him.
One black.
They gonna call one black man.
Kanye West, son.
Y'all got one nigga in the crowd, huh?
One nigga in the crowd.
One nigga, huh?
I got one nigga in the crowd. Oh, you got 2 niggas in the crowd. Oh, 2 niggas in the crowd. Look at this simple group.
And how many? And I'm gonna say a pause moment. Oh, come on, shorty. Come on, shorty. Come on, man.
So he saw the black kid. Now he's starting to address him individually.
You ain't seen a movie? Why you being mean? Get out, nigga.
That's right.
The 16-year-old kid died.
Yeah, good question. Why are you calling a 16-year-old boy that? Why?
Yeah, no kidding.
You're supposed to be a grown-ass adult.
Seems like the 16-year-olds are more mature than the adults. Play clip number 17.
That's exactly what it looks like.
You make us swear on the Bible. You got on the back of the court system, "In God we trust." On the back of your dollar bill, it says, "In God we trust," but you give faggots rights.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But you know what's interesting about these clips, and especially this one? These kids were willing to listen to what they had to say.
Yeah, they're just standing there listening.
Even though that they were having to wait for a bus, they merely could simply have gone on about their business somewhere else, moved on. But the kids actually stood there and listened to what was said and did not respond in any hateful or racist way. And they basically had took the abuse of what was being thrown at them and just dealt with it.
Uh-oh. So we lost our caller there. He'll call back here shortly. So basically, we've got a situation where these kids are still, the drummer's already left. They're still waiting on the bus to come. The Black Hebrew Israelites are still giving them shit, and now we're approaching a situation when the bus finally arrives. So let's go to clip number 18. This is our final clip of the day for this, and just notice how quickly they turn their attention on the next group after these kids leave.
Yeah, with that y'all gotta go. No, we're not equal. Go home and understand America will burn. Thus saith the Lord.
That's how they're gonna be running with price protection.
We got the damn preacher doing a prayer circle.
What the hell is going on here? Now this is a peace circle? Kumbaya? Ain't gonna be no peace until blood is shed. Because you gotta give up this land that's stolen.
That's right.
You gotta give it up. It was built on rape, robbery, and murder. And you have to give it up. That's the only way you're gonna have peace.
That's the only way you're gonna have peace. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just thinking that, I don't know. We've got kids.
So imagine how you're feeling right now, just after hearing all those clips. You're already hot just hearing that.
Yeah. No,
imagine sitting there like I did for 2 hours watching the entire thing to pull those clips.
I think it's just it's sad. When you really want to break it down, it's sad to know that individuals feel that way. It doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, if you're Asian, Mexican. It doesn't matter. The fact that level of kind of hate and racism and bigotry and whatever else you want to call this is not okay.
Yeah.
This is not okay.
You know, again, granted, this is a small group of people. But
it doesn't matter.
What I'm saying is,
small or not, their voices are being echoed all over the internet.
Right. Well, not really. Not like they should. But what I'm trying to point out is there was plenty of examples of people being disrespectful to Native Americans or being disrespectful to other groups. And what we're hearing from the mainstream media is not that at all.
Right.
It's okay. So basically, that's about all I got for this. I just wanted to make sure that the whole purpose of the show today was just to get out the rest of the story and make sure that we kind of built this narrative in the proper way of what it actually was going on, not the lies that you've been seeing on social media.
And this is where it kind of bothers me, and where I've kind of alluded to this is the fact that the wrong people were targeted yet again. And as long as you keep seeing what's on social media, as long as you keep seeing what's being said, this isn't going to go away anytime soon. It's going to be podcasts. It's going to be video podcasts like these that people need to watch. They need to understand. They need to see a different perspective on what's really going on. People need to get away from the mainstream media. That's what it boils down to. And as long as you have Fox and CNN, and I don't care what media outlet it is, you've got to walk away from it. You know, and it's one of those situations where you can't really understand what's going on until you step back and you see the bigger picture for what it is.
You can answer. So what I'm looking at is if this is the only, if this is what they had to center on for considering how racist white people are,
right?
If that's what they had to use, as far as I'm concerned, the race issue is pretty much solved. Like, if that's the worst you could come up with, if you're not seeing white people lynching black people in the streets and treating them like garbage, and you're not seeing that shit, like, I think we pretty much got this solved.
Yeah,
answering back.
Like I said, it's one of those situations where, if you want me to be absolutely frank about this,
a cordial response,
and like I said, it's
okay. You too, whatever.
Like I said, it's I don't think the black community realizes how much the white community wants to see good things on both ends. I think that once people start letting that aggression barrier down when it comes to race, I think folks will start to see that. But you're gonna have to bring that wall down in order for it to happen. And it's a different kind of wall. It's not the Mexico kind.
Yeah.
It's the one that's in your heart, and that's what it boils down to. You know, black people have this mentality that there's this white privilege, that there's, it's whitey this, whitey that, cracker this, cracker that. You know what?
Well,
you're abandoning the white community. You're eventually going to push the white community so far away from you that they're not going to want to help you. We're going to say, fuck it, you're on your own, is what we're going to end up doing. And I don't want it to see that happen, because we've come too far in society, collectively as a group of individuals, doesn't matter what race you are, to want to help fellow man. But when you continue on with this racial division shit, you're going to push the white people so far away from you, they're not going to have anything to do with you. You know what? Fuck Chicago. You're on your own. You know what I'm saying? Deal with your problems. Deal with your people.
I don't know, man. You might be right. I'm looking at the situation like this is, when you have the media constantly pumping this propaganda about how
people need to start thinking for themselves and quit listening to the fucking media.
Right. Just telling people, and then you end up growing up being told all the time that the reason you're suffering, the reason you're struggling is because white people. Like, that's all you know. You grow up knowing that. Like, I can't feel bad about that. Like, you just got to keep putting out shows like this and keep trying to pound the streets and talk to people and get the message out and show them this world of lies that they've been living in.
Right.
Like, there's actual reasons for this. And it's not the white people. There's a reason why your government is telling you this, and the reason why the government is telling us how bad black people are in Chicago. It's because they want us battling each other. That's exactly what they want.
Well, that as a society, I think we often forget that we are bigger than the government. And if collectively we come together as Americans, not white, not black, not Hispanic, not Asian.
Yeah, you would think.
But if we came together as just as Americans and put our backs to the government, you would see a significant change in our culture. Yeah. Not just in the black culture, not just in the white culture, but just in the American culture itself. some people might take what I'm saying earlier and being racist and all this other shit, but what you don't understand is that sometimes you have to call things out for what they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I'm being racist. It's just the fact that, you know, if black people are so willing to step up and talk about white people this, and you know, and why don't you use your white privilege to take care of certain situations, I'm throwing this back in your face, and I'm not doing it to be spiteful. I'm doing it to show you what it feels like, to show you and understand that this is why racial division keeps going, is because there's no solution to a problem other than calling it white privilege. Where's the solution to white privilege? Where's the solution to black privilege, Asian privilege, Mexican privilege? Where's the solution here? There is no solution other than throwing it back in our faces, telling us to deal with it.
I mean, and to say that there's a solution is to it means that there's no problem to begin with.
I understand that. That's what I'm getting at.
To try to find a solution for a problem that doesn't even exist is just a fool's game.
Right.
So this has been fun. This has been a very powerful episode, I think, and we've shined a light on some shit.
The dark side of the moon.
So you jumped the gun, man. You jumped the gun. So I want to head into our favorite segment of the show.
Yes,
this has been a favorite of mine for the last few weeks to put together. We always like to end the show with a positive note, some good news that's out there, and then we ruin it by telling you how you should be offended by it.
Yeah.
So, this is the Phobisimus.
Phobisimus. Phobisimus. Phobisimus.
All right, so today, not today, but, today's episode of the Phobisimus brings you a story about China making historic landing on the dark side of the moon. The Chinese spacecraft is the first to ever land on this unexplored area of the moon.
Cool.
So let's see what we got to say about it. You can scroll down. I need to see. So the story from history.com says that just before 10:30 a.m. Beijing local time on January 3rd, the robotic spacecraft Chang'e 4 made a soft landing in the South Pole Aitken Basin area of the moon, otherwise known as the far side or dark side of Earth's only natural satellite. It is the first spacecraft in history to attempt to achieve a landing on this unexplored area, which is never visible from Earth. After keeping the details of the mission under wraps until the last minute, China announced the successful landing and shared the first lunar images captured by the unmanned space probe via state media. As no direct communication link exists, the images had to be bounced off another satellite before being relayed back to Earth. Pretty cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff. I don't know why this I don't understand why it would be such a challenge to do, but I mean,
I think they want to pull something from Transformers.
I almost wonder what they're doing back there. Like, we can't see what they're doing. They have to bounce the information. They were secretive about it. They had to bounce the information off another satellite just to get in there. So I guess now is the time when we need to look at the story as phobismists and figure out why this is an offensive event.
I can tell you who it's really going to piss off is that's going to be flat earthers.
Flat earthers. How about poor talkers?
I know, right? Hey, I'm not the only one.
So, yeah, right. So what do you got? What do you think?
I don't know, man. I've been thinking about this since you sent me the link.
Yeah. I wanted to give you a little more lead time to think about this. I've got something. I just want to see what you say.
Why it's racist? Why you got to land on the dark side of the moon? Why can't it be the light side of the moon?
Well, that's already been done. I don't understand that as racist. I mean,
I don't know.
Somebody already landed on the white side of the moon.
Right.
Right. What's the difference? It all means the same thing, doesn't it? White equals right. That's.
Here I just gave this long speech about not being racist, and I'm being racist towards the moon.
The moon is a symbol of hate. The moon itself is a symbol of hate.
What you got, man? I want to hear what you got.
Check this out.
Educate me. Come on.
This is why you should be offended by this story.
All right.
Okay. So you should be offended by this story because the Chinese, right, decide to land on the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
The Dark Side of the Moon is a name of an album by Pink Floyd. Mm-hmm. You know what else is an album by Pink Floyd?
What's that?
The Wall. You see where I'm going with this? This is why the Chinese landing on the dark side of the moon is celebrating divisiveness. Yeah. It's trying to divide the United States from the southern border. It's trying, the Great China is trying to wall of China. They were trying to divide people.
Yeah.
Like, that's all they're doing. They're landing on the dark side of the moon to point out how racist and how divisive they are.
They're really divisive people if you think about it, with the wall, now the moon, and
Dark Side of the Moon.
Wow.
The Wall album. Just to remind people.
I just think that the Chinese people have seen how fucked up Western culture is. They're like, fuck y'all, we're doing our own thing.
So I hope you all were able to connect those dots, because that's about all I got for how racist that story is, or how terribly offensive that story is. This has been another episode of the Phobismists.
Phobismists.
All right, so if you have a story that you would like us, that you don't think that we could find some way in which it is to be offended by, just send us the link, and we'll be sure to cover it on the next week's episode of the Phobismists.
Hey, real quick before we go, I'm going to watch my friends list on Facebook, because it seems like every time I voice my opinion, I lose friends.
Oh, yeah. Well, you lose...
I need friends.
You lose followers. I need friends.
Followers.
Yeah.
I need to succeed in life, because I'm so codependent on social media to feel accepted by the world today.
So I want you all to stay tuned for next week, because we've actually got Lee Mullendor coming back to
finally
join us for another episode of the Unframe of Mind show. He's going to come
one of the original co-hosts.
and we're gonna look at, and I think unless some other major news event happens and ends up taking up the whole episode, we're going to be talking about how well Facebook knows you, and we're going to find out if Facebook knows us as well as they think they do. So stay tuned for that. If you want to be a guest on the show, make sure you head over to unframeofmind.com and fill out the form. Click the link, let us know what you think.
Peace,
and
guys.
Please subscribe, share, let people know about this episode. If you felt like we covered some powerful stuff here, please let other people know. The only way people are going to get to know this information about what's going on and what's really going on in the world is if you share videos like this. So that's been another episode of the Unframe Mind Show. I'm Daniel Wagner.
I'm Anthony Trewick.
And this has been another uncomfortable conversation without a condom.
What are we waiting on?
You get to click stop recording too.